Hello. Welcome back, everybody. And if you're here for the first time, my name is Sroda Aglago. Welcome to Love, Forgive, Live podcast. I started this because I wanted to encourage humanity, everyone, empower you, and of course, spread good vibes. Normally I love to talk to people, and if of course this time in our lives things are going a little too much in terms of stress, I thought I would start something to encourage humanity and my fellow brothers and sisters. So this is a place. Normally my day job is mental health counseling, therapist, and a life skills coach or life coach. But this is something that I do just for everybody to enjoy, and of course we learn something together. Anyway, so how's everybody doing? Today's topic is the first topic is on live an extraordinary life. Live an extraordinary life. Because I feel too often, too many of us humans, we get sidetracked and we forget that we came here to live an extraordinary life, to make an impact in the world, in our little corner, because that's how we change our world. We are not going to take on the entire world, but just your little corner that you live in, your little corner that you're commuting in, or you're just being with people, and you can have an extraordinary life in there. But you have to make the effort by being more of who you are and dive in there. I find it pretty funny that a lot of people that I know will take the time to be completely negative, criticize all the time, find something to be dissatisfied about, find something to gripe about, find something to fight about, but there's usually no basis for it. And it's almost like people go around looking for something to complain about, something to fight about, something to create misery out of. And it's so sad, because that doesn't serve you. That doesn't create any positive energy in you in order for you to put out in the world. And of course, you get back what you put out. That's just my take. Okay? So I decided to discuss this topic. The second topic we are going to discuss today is on when you love someone and that person decide they don't want you and they want to walk out of your life and leave you. What do you do? How do you handle that? So these are the topics I'll be speaking about today. Recap. First one is on live an extraordinary life. And the second one is on the second one is on letting someone go when they don't love you, or when you love someone and they don't want you. What do you do? Okay? So I'll share a quote. I love my quotes, so I'm going to share one with you today. The quote today is about living an extraordinary life. Extraordinary afflictions are not always the punishment of extraordinary sins, but sometimes the trial of extraordinary graces. I'll say it again. Extraordinary afflictions are not always the punishment of extraordinary sins, but sometimes the trial of extraordinary graces. This is by Matthew Henry. Love it. Okay, so living an extraordinary life. What is that about? Okay? Here's the thing. When you live an extraordinary life, or when you are doing what you came to do and you're living that extraordinary, beautiful life, it doesn't mean that everything will be rosy and everything will be perfect. This is what you will be expecting, or how you will know that you are living an extraordinary life. Especially when you're living an extraordinary life and you're not really sure if it's extraordinary. Most of the time, people who are living extraordinary life don't even see it. They don't even think of it. They don't even name it as that. But what will make you begin to see it, that is, it's an extraordinary life. So when you start experiencing it, you can pay attention and notice it and realize I'm doing right. It's when you start attracting the haters. Let me explain this. Haters will show up when you are extraordinary. When you are mediocre, haters will not show up. Haters will show up when you are extraordinary, or when you're living an extraordinary life. And when that happens, that's when you become whoa. Because when you are doing nothing, there'll be no words. Nobody will notice. But you are doing something, especially extraordinary things, you will notice that people will stand up and begin to criticize, begin to have jealousy, and sometimes even begin to mock. But here's the thing, or here's what I will tell you about that. Mediocre will always mock and criticize and hate extraordinary. If you don't believe me, take the time to look around you. Because when you start becoming extraordinary, your haters will not want you to rise. They will start to pick at you. They will start to want to pull you down so that you become as mediocre as they are. Because what? They love the company. It's the most powerful thing I've seen in our world so far. Where it doesn't serve them, but they keep doing it. And you sit around and say, how are they not recognizing that? They are tearing down someone who is doing extraordinary things or living an extraordinary life. I say it's one of the most powerful things, because the mediocre is wasting their time. When you do that, you are wasting your time here on planet Earth figuring out what your extraordinary gifts are, and then make that blossom so you can rise. But rather, you waste that time tearing down another being who is living their extraordinary life. That's the sad part. Because the mediocre will waste their time mocking and criticizing the other who is actually doing something. And the worst is when the time comes where they start to evaluate their own life. Mediocre start to evaluate their own life and realize, oh my goodness, what have I done? What legacy am I going to leave here on earth? What am I going to look at when I look back and see what I've achieved or what I've done? And I have nothing to show for it. then the crisis happens. They begin to loathe themselves and become angry and have guilt. And not only guilt, they move on to regret. Regretting what they've done to themselves by mocking extraordinary. And now it might be too late for them to figure out how to live their extraordinary life because they've wasted their time and not knowing what that is anymore. Sometimes people forget what their extraordinary life really is or the gift they came here to fulfill. And I think that's one of the most painful things when I talk to people sometimes out there and I hear the sadness coming from the regrets and the guilt. I want to hug them, cry with them at the same time, but I also want to shake them and be like, how could you do this to yourself? How could you do this to yourself and steal from yourself? Because whilst you're wasting time mocking extraordinary, you are stealing time, precious time from yourself and wasting it. Now, when I say extraordinary, when you do extraordinary things or live an extraordinary life, you will attract the haters. That's how you know you've arrived. That's how you know you're doing the right thing. Because the right thing, I don't know where I heard this from, but I heard the statement and it resonated with me so well. It says, the dreams of what you want to achieve, it should be so big that it should scare you. And if it doesn't scare you, then you're not dreaming big enough. That is your extraordinary life. It should be bigger than you. It should be on a scale where you sometimes wonder, am I ever going to get it? Yeah. Dream big and go after it. Because that's how you bust through the extraordinary glass and become that extraordinary being. And allow that greatness to flow through you. And boy, oh boy, it's powerful. Okay? Now, when you start attracting the haters, don't put your energy in worrying about what the haters are saying, mediocre is criticizing, or mocking. Your job is to stay on task. And rather, by worrying about them, you should be saying, wow, I must be doing right. Because look at all this flap I'm getting. Look at all these talk about it. Must be doing something right. Yes, you are. That's all you should say. And then keep it moving. Keep it moving. Keep it moving one step at a time. Don't look back. Don't look sideways. Keep it moving. Literally create a tunnel vision for yourself and keep going. Because guess what? Mediocre will be there to mock. Will be there to criticize. Will be there to be jealous of. Will be there to hate. But your excellence and your extraordinary life will keep you moving. Stay on task. Keep it moving. Don't waste your time. Or one of the other thing I always say is stay in your lane. Don't waste your time on anybody else's. I promise you, everybody's busy trying to get to theirs. And those who are not are the mediocres who are sitting there.